All right, let's have a look at how to name non-ionic, aka molecular compounds. First thing, let's make really clear what this is. Non-ionic compounds are compounds that do not contain any metals and do not contain any polyatomic ions. So what you'll see with these, and here's a list of examples, they are composed exclusively of nonmetals. Every one of these things in these non-ionic compounds is a nonmetal, and there are no exceptions. So make sure you look for that. The rules you're about to see only apply to non-ionic, aka molecular compounds. So when it comes to this, you must be sure to make sure that you know the Greek prefixes for numbers like tetra, hexa, penta, whatever, because that is critical to making sure that you name these right. Because with the molecular compounds, essentially what this is unlike ionic compounds, which exist as crystals with infinitely huge, gigantically huge numbers of atoms in every crystal, these exist as molecules. So they only exist as like 4 and 6 or 1 and 5, and it's many, many units of that. So it actually tells you how many per molecule. So that's why, like for here, you don't reduce this to a 2-to-3 ratio. It is what it is, and you take it as it is. So let's actually do that. That's the big rule. This is named as a cation. This is named as if it were an anion. So like this first one would be called tetraphosphorus hexoxide. So tetraphosphorus, okay, it's just phosphorus, and then oxide, or hex oxide. Now, hexa is the root word. If you said hexa oxide, that's technically incorrect but acceptable. This is the technically correct version of it. I'll even make that little note here. Incorrect but accepted on the test. Okay, and we apply the same rules here. Now, there's only one of this first one, so I'm just going to say iodine pentafluoride. I'll write that out, iodine pentafluoride. There's only one, so I just say iodine. But that's only, and I should say, I don't use mono because it's the first one. If it was the second one, then I use mono. So let's look here. Dinitrogen monoxide. If there's one of the first one, you just call it by its name. If there's one of the second one, you put mono in there, monooxide. Dinitrogen monoxide. See, there's one of the first one again, so I'm just going to say xenon hexafluoride. Yes, xenon is a noble gas. Yes, it doesn't normally form compounds, but under certain extreme conditions, you can force it into compounds. I'm not sure that this one actually exists, but I know there is xenon tetrafluoride with 4 of these. It only happens under extreme conditions. It was not done, and was not done for the first time until 1967. So it's something that is unusual and a little rare, and only happens with the larger ones, or I should say the larger noble gases. This one, there's one of each. So remember, I don't use mono for the first one, but I can use it for the second one. Carbon monoxide. Had it been a fluorine, it would have been carbon monofluoride. Had it been a nitrogen, it would have been carbon mononitride, whatever. The point is, you only use mono for the second one. So if there's one of each, you only use mono for the second. If there's one of the first one, you just call it by what it is. One xenon, one iodine. Though, other than one, as you can see, you use the correct Greek prefix, tetra, di, whatever. And yeah, you could call this nitrogen trihydride, but the thing is, it's got a special name. So even though if you follow the system, this is nitrogen trihydride, the traditional name is still used. So for ones that use a traditional name, make sure to use said traditional name. All right, now for these other ones, if you are given the name, just write the formula that it tells you to write. Oxygen difluoride, that means you're going to assume there's one oxygen and 2 fluorines. Triboron non-oxide. Tri means 3, so 3 borons, non-oxide. 9 oxygens. Don't reduce. It said there's 3, put 3. It said there's 9, put 9. Leave it as it is. Diphosphorus monosulfide. So that's diphosphorus monosulfide, 1 sulfur. And finally, if it follows a traditional name, make sure you know the traditional name. Methane is CH4. All right, that's a quick overview of non-ionic molecular naming. Happy studies.